This conference will now be recorded.
Meeting to order. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. First order of business will be to approve the agenda. Do we have any changes, Bruce?
Mr. Chairman, we did do an amended agenda, and I think you'll know if you have the right copy. At 8:30, you'll see a portion underlined, and I think it was on Friday, the county got notice of a big award that John will be here to discuss with you. I think also I would note on the project updates, John has an update regarding the Maitland Road Bridge project and the easements that he was looking at there. And then I think I've got everybody's agendas correct, either crossed off or an amended agenda. At 10 o'clock, there were set to be 4 public hearings regarding various vacation requests. The last one, Resolution 2436, is not quite ready for prime time yet. We're going to move that to October 8th, so that one will be scratched for today. Otherwise, I don't know of any changes.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval as amended. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do we have any conflicts? Okay, seeing none. Approve the regular minutes from September 3rd.
Motion to approve the regular minutes.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the past minutes. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What's your pleasure on the bills? I've had my questions answered.
I'm good.
Pay the bills.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second for approval of payment of the bills. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Brenda, personnel.
Okay. I have a request form for the treasurer's office, Melissa Kuzel. Hire date is 9/23/24. She'll be a county employee 1, grade 1, base pay at $21.27, full-time permanent employee. And this was the one that you had, that Deb was here last meeting so that she could get her started because of the length in between the meetings.
Motion approved.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I have a step raise for Robert Witherspoon, Sheriff's Office, dispatch 2, grade 2, base pay at $24.84 as a full-time permanent employee. This will be effective on October 6th.
Move to approve the classification change.
Second.
Okay, motion for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Where is he living at?
Looks like Newell.
In Newell.
Newell?
Okay, did you call? Do I already do the question? Sorry.
I did.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and then Sheriff's Office also, Sheriff Dean is requesting a consideration of approving sick leave donations to Deborah Kareen, as per Article 4, Section 4.1 of the Lawrence County Personnel Policy.
So move we accept. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and then we have a new hire in the Highway Department, replacing an employee who resigned a couple weeks ago, Haven Hildebrand. Date of hire will be 9/30/24. He will be a heavy equipment operator, grade 1, base pay at $29.51. He'll be a full-time permanent employee.
Motion to approve the hiring of the highway department.
Second.
Okay, the motion is second for approval. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So I have, Chairman.
All right. Do we have any travel requests?
Had none, Chairman.
Auditor's account with the treasurer.
This is as of August 31st, 2024. Total amounts of deposits in the bank is $32,516,985.77. Included in that total is the Collier CD of $5,257,173.07. Bank balance of $19 million. Yeah, a little bit different there. $19,873,915.42. US bank balance, $5,689,976.23. Money market, $1,695,921.05. Total amount of cash, 1,350. Total amount of checks and drafts in treasurer's possession not exceeding 3 days is $71,564.05. And cash, $4,537.95. Petty cash, $2,725 for a total of $32,597,162.77.
Move to file the treasurer's report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the treasurer's report. Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, resolution 2024-28, a resolution setting the 2025 county budget. The public hearing's already been held and closed.
And this here is just the resolution that needs to be signed by the board. This budget had, at your request, I went in and did the -3% health insurance and entered that in. And also will notate the changes to each department where it was changed in each one of those budgets that had actual health insurance. And also the applied cash, and notated any changes from the provisional that was listed in the paper will also be listed in the minutes as well. So I just need a motion to authorize you to sign the resolution.
And everybody signs.
There's 3 copies.
Wants to approve the 2025 budget. I'll do one correction on the minutes, so you've got the public hearing held September 5th, 23,
Oh, nice one.
Where do I have that at?
That's fine.
just on the agenda.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So the date was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I seconded it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the 2025
didn't even
budget.
see
Is there any further discussion?
Is there any chance of coupling up travel expenses, or again, there's more and more every year, and that could it go every other year or something on travel deal?
Yeah, that would be something you'd have to discuss with the department heads. That's what was submitted in their budgets. So that would have been something we would have probably had to determine back in July when we had the hearings with the department heads.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Is it true that, so even though an amount is budgeted for travel, that doesn't automatically mean that gets spent? Because for every travel request, well, most travel requests that are out of state or above a certain amount, you still have to approve receipt those every meeting, right? So you have to give your final approval then, so you still have the ability to express, object or not approve them yet, as they come up.
Thank you.
But it has to be indicated on the budget.
Yeah.
What they request, whether they use it or not.
Right, so they, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
so they put in an anticipated amount that they're gonna spend that next year, so that it's in the budget, so it doesn't have to be supplemented back in, but that doesn't necessarily give them the authority to spend that. Again, you have to approve those on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
We have to do this?
Yes, please.
All right.
3 copies.
Yes, please.
Correct.
2025 county employee Walmart health insurance plan renewal.
Chairman, on behalf of the insurance committee, as I stated earlier, we had a really great year. Our insurance premiums came in at a -3%. In my tenure here, one other time I've seen a negative, so this is very good. So,
Never that good.
yeah, but never that good. Yeah. So, thanks to our employees for, their good health and doing their preventive maintenance to our preventive appointments to take care of themselves, because it reflects in our premiums. What'd you say? Yeah, use the app. Anyways, there's a joke behind
Okay,
that.
we need a
And
motion
so-
for the renewal.
So I would like to ask that you authorize the chairman to sign the contract, with the county still paying 100% of the single and 80/20 of the employee spouse, employee child and family policy.
So
Which
moved.
yeah.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll have you sign these after, is that okay, or do you want to
Yeah,
sign them
we'll
now?
sign them.
Nope, there's 3,
I'll sign.
the blue tabs.
All right. County employee health fair schedule.
I would defer to Barb, Mr. Chairman. I think it's for October 10th from 7 to 9 down in the ELC.
That is correct. It'll be the same as the years past. Flu shots for employees or family members. The cost should stay the same from last year as we had a contract signed for that. And then there will also be an Aflac representative if anybody wants to.
PSA test for men.
Yeah.
Okay, that's October 10th, right?
Correct.
Here?
It'll be downstairs in the EOC.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready for Sheriff Dean. I see you brought backup with you today.
He was here in plenty of time. Wow, we're gonna do this again.
Do we get to go there?
I think that, I don't remember which way.
That's ridiculous.
Why
don't you sit down and I'll spin
I didn't know if you could do that. The grand juror or what?
There you go.
You look a lot better now.
Well, I appreciate that. Someone's had a lot of humor at my expense over the years. Good morning. The project up on the hill is going well, but I'd like to speak, if I might, just a couple of moments on how we got to November 18th and what it might look like going forward. We started off with the contractual date of August 12th. And in 2023, we had, 2022 through 2023, we had some winter days that were approved, requested and approved. That number of days was 31. And that took our completion date to September 25th. Change order number 4 had with it some adjustments to the way the building is constructed. And the result of that was an additional 38 days for that contract. That took us to November 18th. It's important to understand, however, that this is a very big project with a lot of nuances. And if I might, I just, kind of give you a snapshot of context. I probably have at least 4, if not 5, not counting myself, staff members that are spending, I would estimate, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80% of their workday dealing with different aspects of this building. I know that Mr. Diaz and his office just completed a very large task that I would not even begin to estimate what percentage of their day, but it would have been quite significant. Tim is up there constantly. Bruce and I, as you know, are your owner's reps, and nearly every day we've got a good working relationship with our general contractor. We found them to be very forthright. When there's a problem, they tell us about it. But the reality is this: it's a huge building. Undertaking is a better way to say it. It's a huge undertaking, and problems do come up. Anybody that's ever built a house knows exactly what that looks like. We are in the finishing weeks now, and we're on top of it. We have lots of meetings on everything from panic buttons to door locks to cabling. We are working hard on your behalf, and yet that having been said, what I can offer at this point is the building will be done at exactly the right time. November 18th is the date on the calendar. It's a target. Everybody wants to try to meet it. But in terms of speaking with your constituents, I would offer the same that I use when I speak to my constituents, and that is November 18th right now is the official date. We're going to do everything we can to meet that date. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay. This building will be done exactly as it needs to be.
Well, thank you on that. We have had quite a few people ask if you're gonna have any type of a open house to at least look at part of it.
That subject matter is not something that has escaped me. I don't believe that to be my decision. per se. What I can offer at this point is that it seems to be about 50-50. It's not a rec center, it's a jail. And so there are certain security issues that we want to be careful with, but it is not my building, it's the county taxpayers' building, and we want to be respectful towards them. So when we get to a point where we can say definitively, this is the date, then I think that's the time to make that decision.
Okay.
And I think the board needs to weigh in on that.
Okay, thank you. Members?
Sheriff, I think I've heard that other than a hospital, maybe a jail or correctional facility is one of the most complicated things to build. Have you heard that too?
I have, all throughout the process, and I think I've shared that with the board. A jail, according to architects and those that build these things, is the second most complicated thing to build, a hospital being first. So there's a lot going into it. We are at a point, I would offer again, if any board member wants to have an insight or a special tour, I'd be happy to take you up there. We are accommodating some select folks in that regard, and so far it's been a very positive interaction.
Okay.
On another note, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request permission to let the bids for a transport van.
Next meeting, 8:15.
Yeah, I was concerned about that. You already added one more car just in the last year or two. You got 4 cars instead of 3. And I was wondering why we needed to transport car too. I can see where you can haul more people, but we shouldn't need to do that. We put room for 2 or 3 in the back and 1 or 2 in the front. So why do you need the extra expense?
So I appreciate that question, and respectfully, I don't view this as an extra expense. Our office has had a transport van, and I'd ask that you not quote me on this, but I believe somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 years. That van is getting older, and it's not particularly suited for the type of need that we're going to have moving forward. The need of a transport van is a consequence of what we do for a living. We transport people lots of places. It's not uncommon to have a deputy on the road almost all the time going somewhere in the country to bring somebody back. Those are circumstances when we can use a car. There are other circumstances where we're hauling people over some distances, and we have to be able to segregate not only within gender, but we need to separate within gender as well. So it's a unique aspect of law enforcement. It's one that, quite frankly, you can't do without if you've got the volume that we have. So I appreciate the question, but that's my feeling. It's a need derived out of safety and best practices.
Okay. Motion.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval to go to bid on transport van, which would be set, the bid opening would be October 8th, is that what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
8:15 a.m.
And I might add, if I might, this is kind of it's a different type of process. What we're doing initially is purchasing the vehicle. There's an insert then that goes in it that we'll be purchasing after the fact. And so that the board is aware, the insert is actually, in many cases, more expensive than the vehicle itself. So this is just phase 1 of a 2-step process.
This is just the vehicle at this point.
That's correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's what I have.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for
Anyone
your
have any
time.
questions, please, Sheriff?
Nope.
All right, thank you, sir.
You.
All right, yeah, we have a public hearing at 8:25, but John will have you come up and get started. And then we'll have to shut down here in 4 minutes, but we'll keep moving here.
I have a couple of one approach permit. Shannon
Panicon is requesting permission to construct a second approach onto her property. Their reasoning is they feel it would better utilize the property.
It's right there in the corner, isn't it?
It is right in the corner. There has been some interest from the landowner to the north, Julie Benedict, who's wanting also an approach. She has not submitted an application this time. When I talked to Ms. Paniconian's son, I recommended that they maybe try to consolidate and have an easement and use one approach for the two properties. So he didn't show a lot of interest in that. At this time, I mean, I am not in favor of this second approach. It's only 195 feet from the other approach they already have on their property. Getting kind of.
Well, it's kind of on the corner, isn't it?
Sight distance is pretty decent. It's pretty far from the corner to where they want to put this approach. But if we put another one again to the north, you're going to have a lot of approaches lined up pretty close together. So my recommendation would be to have them come back at a later date with maybe a proposal for a shared approach to the property to the north.
Okay.
I don't like those myself either, but I
Motion to
think
follow recommendation and wait to see what they send us, to resend us.
Second.
Okay, is this for denial then, gentlemen?
Follow recommendation.
Follow recommendation.
Motion and a second for follow highway superintendent's recommendation on this issue and deny it at this time with hope that they can get together with the neighbors. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
City of Spearfish is requesting a permit. This is for a water line they want to put in on that section of road they want to annex for that apartment building on Hill Street. So we are still in control of that section of road, and they want to, prior to their improvement, the curb and gutter and the pavement of that section of road, they want to replace their water lines. It makes sense, and I think now would be the time to certainly do that. So I would recommend that allow this permit.
Motion to follow recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to follow recommendation. Any further discussion? Commissioner Sleep?
Would it be acceptable to get something else that they trade some for that? They
What-
were always, excuse me, I guess, the things that we want to do. We get a couple of them done, in order to give them that.
Well, I don't know that we should use this as a tool to try to get anything else from the city,
Oh, thank you.
but I do believe that this annexation is going to take place in the near future, so for them to wait until they annex it and then do it after they're paving or at the same time, I think the timing, this just makes sense that they are allowed to put this water line in, even though we still are in control of that section of road. They're only putting it into that apartment building.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand where you're at, but on the other projects, why they haven't looked at it that way for us.
They haven't, but I don't know.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. If you'd be so kind, John, we want to go ahead and do our public hearing right now. And
No, that's for city of Spearfish.
Brenda, this is resolution 2024-33. This is a public hearing. Supplemental
Thank you.
supplement. So if you have any questions, you can talk to Paul about that, but
Thank you.
Questions from the board before I open it up to the public?
How much have you used in the past for our burial expenses? Do we need $10,000?
Yeah, so, man,
yes,
so I think it was last year you increased the fees. It had been quite a while since you've done so. So most of them are cremations. And you raised the fee to $2,000. I think it had been 1,150 prior to that. And so we're getting a lot more requests for indigent burials. I think state law says that, I'm paraphrasing, of course, that initially it's up to the decedent's friends and family to pay the cost of a burial. But if they're unable to, or if they refuse, then the county is a last resort for paying for them. And I think what we're seeing is, and I've talked to a local funeral director about that too, is that folks don't have the same sort of sense of obligation, it seems like, that they used to pay for folks. And again, I don't know what their circumstances are financially either. Things are probably different in that regard as well. So,
Okay,
So,
make sense?
well, I hope so.
all right, is a public hearing. This is the time and place. If anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this supplement, this is the time to voice your opinion for or against. To ask that you would please stand and state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this or online? Okay, one more time. Anyone in the audience or online? Seeing no one, I would,
Motion to approve
Public hearing?
resolution 2024-33.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion?
Is this just for the burial expense?
No.
and
You're
emergency,
talking about
and the emergency management.
emergency management, 26,000 something too?
It's for both of them.
Oh, that's fine, it'll be on.
It is, Richard. Unfortunately, we cannot always get our equipment when ordered. And so the radios that were ordered at the beginning of last year ended up being delivered this year.
No.
So, we don't have a choice there. And so then that cuts this budget short. The money went back in last year, so.
So it's something you had before, but the budget didn't.
Yeah, we didn't spend it because we didn't have we cannot pay for it because it's not here.
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, John, we'll get back to your business, sir. Thank you for allowing us to.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Thanks, John.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Richard, did you vote nay on the
City of Spearfish one.
permit for the city of Spearfish?
You did.
Permit for the city of Spearfish?
The water line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure I double check.
Make sure the minutes reflect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, it's probably a good thing, but I don't like the way they're doing things. We always got the tail end stuff. And that's why I voted against.
The third permit I have is, so also a utility permit from Butte Electric. They are extending their power service to the west. They're asking to bore underneath the McNinney Road. The power line is already there overhead. They're just looking to go bore under and continue to the west underground. The bore pits, they agreed to have their bore pits outside of the right of way, and then their minimum is 4 feet, which is better than our minimum in ours. So it would be 4 feet at the lowest portion of the ditch. So I recommend approval of this permit.
I'm going to follow recommendation.
I'll second.
okay, we would like to second for approval for Butte Electric. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right.
Okay, that's A group of concerned citizens requesting speed limit to be changed on a section of the Old Bell Road. They are proposing that the section from the Superior City limits to the Camp Comfort be posted at 45 miles per hour. If you guys remember a year ago, I sent you a copy of the minutes, but this is a section that the same people had requested this back in May of last year. And as your directive, we put up some signs that indicated agricultural work. We put some farm equipment signs up. The property owners that are in that area, they don't feel that it's that did much. So I believe we have one of the individuals, Mr. Eddie is here, and he has submitted a list of signatures from some of the homeowners and landowners in that area. And if he would like to speak for this, I would certainly welcome
Give
him.
you an opportunity to speak to the board. When you stand up, please state your name and address for the record.
Rob Eddy, 4610 Old Bell Road, Eddy Farms. So several years ago, we had an accident out in front of the property, which kind of led to the, we have a concern with the speed limit. And also with the rapid increase. It goes from 35 to 55 right out in front of our property. Doing work, we have property on both sides of the road, so we're crossing Old Bell Road with machinery, going up and down with machinery. That rapid increase from 35 to 55 kind of gives the temptation for people to really buckle down and get to that 55 speed limit, which puts our equipment, our staff, myself, my family in, I think, an unneeded hazard. With the ward development, the reserve being rapidly growing, we're getting more people walking, pedestrians, bikers up and down that. The shoulder is non-existent, so they are walking on the road. And with the city person, our city residents driving up and down Old Bell Road, going to the restricted use landfill, where they would turn on Camp Comfort Road, that rapid increase, we've noticed many of the people going there aren't strapping down their loads. So where does it all get blown out? Right where they're going from 35 to 55, right in front of our property. So about every day I'm picking something up. I just asked that we have that buffer zone between the 35 and the 55 along the front of that 3/4 mile section, just to hopefully reduce accidents, pedestrians from getting hit, us from getting hit. Like I said, I tried this a year ago, and I'm bringing it back to you for a second look.
All right,
Thank you.
What's the, you want to weigh in on it first, John, or?
Well, I will say that I did just look up a second time a year later for traffic incidents, and there is nothing new that happened that way traffic-wise. There's no new accidents, or there's nothing else has changed that way. I will say that the one thing that is different this time is the request. We were looking at doing a 35 to 45. This time, they're requesting to change it to 45 a little further south at the city limits. I guess I don't really have a horrible issue with it. I know in the past, it's always been an issue with enforcement. I think that is why we kind of stray away from messing with speed limits. I mean, we're already enforcing 55 there. I guess to me, what's the difference if we enforce 45? It is becoming more of an urban area for sure. So maybe it is time we look at it.
Okay, board members?
I think it's worthwhile dropping the speed limit down to 45 at the city limits, but I don't think it does any harm. Seems like anymore, a speed limit sign is just a suggestion. For years, I was on the board at Mountain Plains. We kept our speed limit 25. I don't think anybody on the board ever drove that, but it kept them down to 35 instead of 45. So I don't think it hurts to drop this and see what happens with it.
Is there a motion?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
That would be
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's gonna make any difference. People are gonna go as fast as they wanna go anyway, and we haven't any problem with the speed limit the way it is. Last time we voted to leave it the same, and I would suggest that we have the deputies down there to give out more tickets and talk to people more. But I would move that we leave it the same speed limit.
I think there's already a motion on the floor.
For purposes of the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
John, do you know what the definitions or the defined area of this speed limit area is going to be now? Can we state that for the record, where it would start?
It would start at the end of the ward development. It's at the border of the city limits. It would change from 35 to 45 at that location. And then at Dairy Lane, reducing the speed limit from 55 to 45 to Camp Comfort.
Thank you.
Okay,
And I apologize, my comment was based on the making of the motion.
so that yours was a motion for approval. Did we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay,
Start 45 at the city limits.
all right, the motion before us is to reduce it to 45 to the Camp Comfort Road. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Commissioner Jennings.
So obviously I travel this road frequently and I think about this a lot. So I've talked to Rob Eddie about this too, that I don't think that the debris issue is going to go away just because we've changed the speed limit. Mostly because I see a lot of that debris on Highway 85 as soon as they get out of Spearfish. You start seeing debris there and you see it all the way to the rubble site. The deer issue is going to be an issue no matter what the speed is. What part of my concern here is people drive faster than they should now on that. And so we get people driving 35, they'll respect the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit till they get to Dairy Lane. And then if they don't speed up right away, people are passing them there. And it's a double yellow line at that point. And I'm not sure that we're going to make that any better. So I'm a little concerned about that. My biggest concern is the recreation or pedestrian traffic that we get along there. My hope is with the bike path being completed, going the other way, that they will walk that way. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm torn on what to do on this.
Any further discussion?
So maybe my motion's wrong. It should start 35 at the city limits and stay till Camp Comfort.
Yeah, I don't know. It's part of the, we brought up enforcement and I was talking to one of my neighbors the other day that we don't remember ever seeing a city highway or a city patrolman out there. It's always sheriff office patrolman out there, even though that's city limits. So I'm not sure the county's getting much help with enforcement there.
Okay. All right, well, we do have a motion on the floor before us, a motion to do the 45 to Camp Comfort Road, starting at city limits. Everyone in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So you're wondering where I'm at, aren't you?
Seems like that's only 4 votes.
Should I do a roll call?
It's the same difference.
I already know. Yay, nay, nay. Yay or nay?
I'll go aye. We'll give it a try. May or may not work. So it passes 3-2.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Consideration.
John?
All right. So we did the 5-year plan at the last meetings a while ago. You asked me to do some sort of cost analysis of gravel versus asphalt before we signed off on this 5-year plan. What I did for you guys is I took our last project, which was a 2021 project, which was the section of the Maitland Road. I compared that to the exact same year for all of the exact same projects, gravel, chip seals, crack seals and all that. I use the same pricing for that. I used everything at kind of the base minimum there for a 30-year span of each, and you can see where the dollar amounts were using 2021 numbers. And for a 30-year total, to get the goal of a 30-year total, asphalt was $504,107.32. To do the same work in gravel over a 30-year span on a high volume road. Now, if this is a lower volume road, we wouldn't have as much gravel involved, but it is a high volume road. So when you factor that in, the amount of gravel for that, it comes to $455,060.76. So the difference of $49,046.56. If you break that down to 30-year, for a dollar amount per year, it's $1,600.34. Either one of those could go. Like I said, obviously, as the years go on, your chip seals get more expensive, gravel's more expensive, everything's more expensive. But using the same numbers for that year, that's what I came up with. It's in the grand scheme of 30 years, it's a pretty negligible amount, it's kind of a wash. So with that being said, I am still requesting that I need a signature or some sort of approval on the 5-year plan. Okay, if you guys want me to remove these asphalt projects, I certainly will. The only thing that's truly required on the 5-year plan is anything that we are going to try to get a grant on in the future. So in this case, our bridges have to be on there. If we're going to try to get any kind of grant for any kind of paving projects, then those projects need to be in there. But I'm good to with whatever you guys want to do. If you want to remove these for the 5-year plan, I'll remove them. But I do need to get this 5-year plan submitted next week. So I'm requesting a signature with your recommendation of what you'd like on that 5-year plan.
And just to correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Bay, but just because they're on the 5-year plan doesn't mean you have to do them.
Absolutely
We can take
does.
them off on a
We
yearly
can
basis.
take them off and we can move them from year to year. We can do anything you want with them. The 5-year plan is merely a tool for us to use, for us to be transparent to the public, and to have everything in place so we can apply for our grant. So,
Well, with that said, then, it's pretty safe to go ahead and leave it the way you have it, because we can certainly change it from year to year to adjust our budget.
Motion to approve the 5-year plan as is and allow the chairman to sign, submit to the state.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the 5-year plan. Any further discussion? Commissioner Sleep?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote no on that because I don't agree with that. I won't say anymore.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whitewood Service Road Bridge.
yep, they got the deck poured. It's been a process. They're certainly behind schedule. They do now have the barriers are poured. I haven't been out there since. They still have to do all the backfilling, and then they have to work on the approach and sleeper slabs on either end, and then our paving. So we're getting closer, but I hope it's done before we plow snow. I'm skeptical, but they're getting something. I'm planning on attending the local road conference and taking a 2 foremans along. This fall under the dollar amount for a travel request. If you guys would like a travel request, I'd submit one next meeting if that's up to you. It does come under the dollar amount for that.
Mr. Chairman, I think that means it's in state, it's under $500.
I think it was 500 per person, is that correct?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make you
So
guys
you're
aware.
within it then.
I'm under that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will be missing a meeting, and I know how much you guys like to see me here. So
Well, we do.
We cherish that.
I think last year Bruce filled in for me, and I think he probably does a better
Does the
job.
board feel that he needs a travel request, or as long as it's within the limits, are we okay?
That's why we have rules.
All right. Sounds like you're all right, John.
Perfect. I got the easement signed from our property owner at the intersection of Maitland and Christensen. That's on that amendment I gave you. So I met with him last Friday and we were able to get him to sign off. So I do have those for your signature so we can get these filed and move forward.
We don't need any action on that, do we, Bruce?
Yep, you need a motion to authorize you to sign it
I'll move.
and to pay him.
Second.
So moved on
Okay,
both
we
of
have a
those.
motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is for the perpetual easement.
Temporary and perpetual easement. They're both on there. I think it's one signature for both.
They're both on there. I see perpetual.
Well, they're on this portion of it, the portion that you don't need to sign. If you want to look at it, you certainly can.
That's okay.
This also is authorizing the payment for the trees, the lost trees.
Okay, anything further, sir?
Our funding grant, thank goodness for the auditor, because she caught this. They have implemented a 30-day expiration date on these grant applications. I did not catch it. Luckily, she did catch it and informed me about that, and we have roughly 4 days to get this signed and turned in. This is for the grant that we applied for, the 50/50 grant on the West 14 Bridge for the preliminary engineering. So,
Need a motion to allow chairman to sign and submit it. So done.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval for the signature. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Those are for him to sign for that we just approved, yep.
I didn't see those.
Okay, anything further, sir?
I think that's it for me, unless you guys have anything for me.
Thank you for doing the cost comparison. Came back from Russell yesterday.
Yeah, no problem.
Horrible. It was just dirt everywhere, stuff everywhere.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I
A little bit ahead, but we're doing.
don't have it.
It's just class, so, yeah, we can work on
Absolutely.
All right, Amber.
get through what we get through. First one is 2024-61 preliminary and final plat for Tomahawk Country Club at Sawyer Memorial. We've seen this a couple times. They have been working on this due to a little structure right here. If you can see, there was an old lot line in there that went through where they put all their golf carts. And so they've been working with Sawyer Memorial, but because it was all unplatted, they had never had it platted before, they ended up platting the Tomahawk Country Club and then platting the full amount of the Sawyer Memorial Trust area. All because of one little lot line change, but they finally got it done. We had there was some weird mineral survey load overlap things, and it was kind of a mess out there. So they finally got it done. This is a preliminary and a final plat for that one.
Okay, it looks like they participated on the reads.
So we need to do an exempt for consolidation.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion for exempt, motion and a second. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Aye. I'm opposed there. He hadn't done with the weeds. You had the guy, Dave, go on and talk to the guy and look at the weeds and didn't do anything about them.
Well, it said in his notes here that,
Spray 2 weeks ago.
Sprayed them 2 weeks ago.
right,
And there's still some along the creek that they're working on.
I think he's in contact with him.
I think
He's been aware of it.
Worked on and done before they met the rest of the stuff.
Okay. What's your pleasure? on
Motion to
that?
approve the preliminary and the final.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the preliminary and the final. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carried. Patterson Trust.
Yes. So this one is a preliminary and a final plat, right next to the old stone house on Crook City Road, if you remember back behind there. They would like to break that down into 3 tracks, 1, 2, and 3. Zoning allows it. There was basically what they ended up doing is because there was no trees, if you remember, we added that in the requirements under fire plan that I could look at it and determine if they needed to or not. And this one, there really is nothing there. They keep it mowed, they keep it hayed, following kind of the normal procedure that we've seen in that. So we didn't require a fire plan on this one. And then it meets the density requirements.
Motion to approve the preliminary and final.
Motion was second to approve the preliminary and final. Any further discussion?
Did they do the weeds along the draw? They said they did them out flat, cut the stuff, cut for hay. November.
I'm not gonna answer questions regarding the weed plan because it's not my deal. That's
Yeah, it
Dave.
is what,
No,
when
it's
it comes to
Dave's.
planning and
He-
zoning, it does it, but if he's on his job, right, as part of your enforcement.
I would like to ask Bruce if we have the planning and zoning has any authority to deny something based on the lack of weed spraying.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of that.
Oh, I didn't know you were here. I'm sorry. Do we have any authority to deny a plat at planning and zoning based on the fact that they haven't followed the recommendation or haven't started or finished the recommendation? Whichever level you want to do it at.
The weeds.
The weeds,
I
sorry.
Denied stuff they bought.
think you have the ability to require them to sort of maybe like bond for weed improvement. Can you deny one? I suppose it's a significant issue. You could. Are you compelled to do it for any reason? No, I don't think you have to. I'm unaware that you've ever denied a plat because of weeds. I think, what I've heard you say is that there are statutes in place for weed enforcement and that those are there for that purpose. Does that make sense? I think that's what I've heard.
Denied leases because of weeds. And that's
Which one?
probably not the same as the plat, but it's similar.
Say that again for me.
We've denied a lease because they didn't take care of their weeds.
I'm not sure what lease that is. Was it a county
It
lease?
was a 10 up to 10.
Oh, I think you're thinking of a CUP, right?
Conditional use permit.
Yeah, and that was for
mining.
up there at the Fillmore mine. Is that what we?
It was up to the Beatty mine.
Yeah, so I think you put that on as a condition for a CUP, right? But a little bit different than a plat we're talking about here. And so I don't know that a plat has ever been denied because of this, the condition of the weeds.
Well, he went on and looked at the weeds over here on this, just south side of Dedler. I don't remember the guy's name.
Is that David Winter?
But it could have been, yeah.
And you certainly could have. But again, I don't know that you've ever denied a plat for that reason. And
Well, I will add that at our last weed board meeting, we had a thorough discussion on trying to get a handle on enforcing the weed issue. So we are working on it there. But at this time, I don't know that.
If you read Dave's responses, he basically has said during planning and zoning that he's not recommending denial of any plat. He's just asking his record, which is what we've been attaching to all of it. And then this last month, he actually, I believe, got a hold of all the landowners this time. I think that's what he did this
We had
last
a
month, so,
ridiculous policy within the weed board
and
that
it got
we
changed,
didn't
right?
allow him to do that, so we changed that.
Yeah.
So he has the opportunity now to go out and get a hold of the people.
Mr. Chairman?
And he has done that.
As far as I know, starting last month, he started doing it.
Mr. Chairman? I think that Dave has been coming consistently, Dave or Ryan, to all the planning and zoning meetings, and he's been giving a report.
Yeah.
And I don't recall that he's ever recommended to planning and zoning that they deny a plat because of weeds. He's given a sort of a status update on the condition of them. And then I think most recently, he's been visiting with them. I think the policy, as I recall, for maybe the weed board was that any communication, and Bob will correct me, the chairman will correct me if I'm wrong, was only if there was a sort of in a formal fashion or only pursuant to an enforcement. But now Dave has gotten that clarified where he's allowed to sort of contact the landowners and work with them and kind of implement this process a little bit better to try to avoid enforcements and to try to, when it comes to time for planning and zoning, he can say that he's not only talked to them, but they have a plan in place. Is that fair?
Yeah. That's correct. Okay, further discussion on the motion?
Well, if the weed, people don't enforce things, we're not gonna get anything accomplished. Weeds are a bad thing, especially if they're up in the seeds come down the waterways and go out into Meade County or Butte County and around them. And it needs to be a part of it.
Bruce?
I think, Richard, as far as I know, that anybody that Dave has worked with as part of a plat, as part of a subdivision or splitting of lots or whatever that may be, I think he's gotten 100% cooperation out of all those folks associated with him, as far as I know, ultimately over time. I think that's true, right? And so I don't know that they're the ones that are causing the weed problem necessarily. It's probably others that aren't necessarily subdividing, but I'm unaware of any example where I think Dave has had to go and do an enforcement on somebody that's been associated with a platting issue.
Okay.
Motion, right?
To
A
Stella
motion for
Jennings.
approval and a second on the preliminary and the final. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Isn't that where we're
63. Yes. Oops. So this one is a preliminary plat only. This is lots 2AR, block 5 of Apple Springs. Oh, of course, I have to turn it on me. What they're doing is combining the lots. So, I mean, it's just making a smaller lot bigger. And I think they were having an issue with like making their house fit, right? So.
Commissioner Flanagan?
This, we don't have to do examples. The fire plan's in place, the water lines are in place.
Correct.
So we
Everything's
just need to make
there
a
now.
motion to approve the preliminary.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Not doing exempt.
We don't need an exempt. That was one.
Thanks.
Quam.
This one is 64. Okay. So this one was a little weird. We've seen this before. This was the one that Quams have that property that City of Dead, they ended up basically squatting in it. Is that where the trailers are and stuff right there when you go up Terry Peak, right on the corner. And City of Deadwood ended up going to court with them and they ended up winning and got the property from the city. They've been working with the adjacent landowners down there to, I think it was Lofen. We went through rounds with Lofen there. There was a garage building and then there used to be the old, the President's Heads was sitting there. And I think that finally got taken down actually. They're trying to create a little tiny utility lot in there. And it'll have it, we made them put a no build restriction on it. We've done that before with utility lots. And then it sounds like the little garage that sits there is gonna get torn down.
Okay. Do I have to exempt from the fire plan?
Yes, on this one you
So
would.
moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for exemption. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, let's pleasure on the preliminary.
Motion to approve.
Second for discussion.
Okay, a motion and a second, further discussion. Commissioner Flanagan.
Did you have any questions?
What I
Mr.
do?
Kenny. Well, you said with.
Discussion, so.
Yeah, you want to talk about something?
I thought you had some burning desire to speak further. Commissioner Tanny.
My only concern on this is the garage violates the setback lines. I don't know if, it says it will be torn down. I'm assuming there's no teeth in that it's going to be up to them ultimately. So that's my only cause for consternation on this.
And that's why we had them add that residential building right thing, so they know you're not gonna get another building permit.
I'm not gonna get another one, but we could still have the garage there.
If you've seen it, I'm pretty sure it's gonna come down one way or another, whether it's on its own or some snow this winter.
Okay, further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Cost development.
All right, so this one, I was hoping.
They're here.
Yeah, but I was hoping, John was gonna stick around. Cause I don't really know, he submitted this to you guys, I don't even know if he talked to Brad about
John
it. Yeah, this was from John Bay, and this was new, so maybe give that to Klaus, I don't know if he even saw that yet. So I guess I can't really answer questions with what John wrote, cause I was very surprised by that, cause I'm thinking what happened is this might have gotten approved right before John took over, because John said he had never looked at it. And he has some concerns, which he wrote in the letter to you guys, but I think it's stuff that he can work out with Brad. It was just, he wanted you guys to be aware of it, is kind of how I took it. But ultimately, this first one is just a revised lot. Let's see if I can pull up the right one. Oops. We doing 66 or are we doing 65? Which one are we doing?
65.
I'm in the wrong one then. 65, no, I'm in the right one. 11 and 47. So this one is, if you remember, we did a new revised preliminary where they combined a bunch of lots. So lot 11 used to be additional lots and they took those away and that's all one big one. And then this is the new kind of road layout here. I didn't have any concerns with it, so it's platting the final plat for lot 11, which was combining it, and the final plat for lot 47, which meets the preliminary plat that you guys approved. So I just think that there is some maybe drainage and some other things that John had mentioned in his report. And I think my concern, I mean, I'll just be honest with you, my concern is how many times have these plats been before, and he's never made a report about anything. And then now all of a sudden it was, so I would say if anything, let these go through and then let Brad work with John on any concerns that he has. I was struggling with it a little bit.
I don't remember seeing anything
Yeah.
from highway superintendent on this.
He had it out there and then I don't know how, he sent it to me and you guys were CC'd on it from what I could tell.
I don't remember seeing it either.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that just kind of came up. It looked like this. I don't know. He sent it to me. I don't know when he emailed it.
But I would agree, these two could be approved, there's plenty others.
I'll look at that one, but, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Or I thought it did.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the final plat on lots 11 and 47.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then he had another one, which was lot 31 revised. Again, it's a revision, matched the preliminary plat that you guys just approved. So it's really not doing anything different than what you had already looked at. It actually is increasing the size of the little lots, making it.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Music, water, and oil?
Yes, the Heritage Hills is that one. So I think John, I don't know, I'm thinking this was in the same one. He sent this. Did you guys see that? So I don't know. I don't really know how to deal with these because like this, I didn't have these until after planning and zoning. And John sent them.
And I can't, I don't.
Sometimes, so I don't,
know
yeah,
where
because
they
I
are.
didn't have them. So I don't really know if John's putting those in his stuff or not. I guess we have to work that out because I don't know for sure. But we didn't have these at planning and zoning.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Claus is here too. He might have some explanation to help you with some of the ongoing activities if you have questions.
Well, we're done.
I think we approved both the plats.
Both of them.
Just work with John specifically,
Yeah.
if you would, because that was new information. So that's what I,
Trenches will be covered up within a couple.
yeah, I think he just had some questions. So maybe just give him a call and have a discussion with him about that. That would probably be the best thing.
Does he have my number too?
I don't know. I would just recommend calling him.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So this one, it looks like he put something in here for Kissick that says he went out on September 9th. No construction of the development has taken place at the time, which is true because they haven't actually, they haven't started the actual development yet. And it looks like that was it. I don't know. It says Lawrence County's measurements are not intended as replacement for construction plans. But that was his comment.
And it's just preliminary.
Yeah, it's just a preliminary. As part of the preliminary, they've provided the fire plan, the preliminary plat, construction plans, a soil report, all the normal stuff that we would ask for at preliminary plat phase. And I believe already they've been in contact with, I think it was in Dave's stuff too. Like that he had contacted him, was working with them. But this is just the preliminary. And this is much smaller than what the original Kissick Properties was, if you remember. This is only 7 lots versus, I don't remember what it was, like 20 plus. 15, is that what it was originally? So they've changed, they've updated it, I think, based on a lot of the comments from before of like the way the road was gonna be. This seems to work. There was no issues with not being able to meet. They're not asking for, variances and all that stuff that they were trying to before.
Doesn't look like there's anything crazy steep out there.
No, they did it a lot better than the original plans that we saw.
Pleasure on it.
Motion to approve the preliminary.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the preliminary. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, this one is a lot line revision. I can't tell you how many times these lots buys. It's like insane, but it's just another lot line revision. These lots have sold from the original owner to the new one, and they're trying to change, the lot lines again. So structures are all there. I didn't really see.
Motion to declare exempt.
Second.
Revision.
Okay, a motion and a second to, for exempt. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion to approve the preliminary and final.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary and the final. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, this is an amended preliminary plat. And you can see the changes. They're trying to break 115 into 115A and B. They both are over 2 acres. It meets the general requirements. We did require them to do a new preliminary plat because of the road. And they put the water line in now and stuff, so we just wanted to make sure everything was meeting requirements. So we had to do an amended preliminary.
They haven't done anything on the fire plant yet.
They've started it, and
Okay.
this one, we're just doing a preliminary, so they're still under the original fire plan, but I believe he's out there working now. It sounded like he was able to get the equipment through on the bottom side. So,
But you guys signed that, is there? Okay. We kind of held them up.
Yeah.
All right, what's your pleasure on this one?
Post approve the preliminary, the amended preliminary.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the amended preliminary. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
and remember that Maitland Partners will need the bonds in place. We have like 3 now
Yes.
on different lots for fire plan.
Watkins Properties.
All right.
Should be shining down, Dawn.
We should be on
Shining Dawn.
Shining Dawn Element 70.
Somebody got money again wrong.
I didn't do it. All right, so this one is a corrective final plat. This one is not related to anything out of our office. I believe they maybe tried to record it and there was an issue caught. So they had to do a corrective plat, which we don't see these too often.
We've already approved this a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. There's a development plan or 2 on this one.
Yeah,
So just correct.
it's just correcting, and it was something to do with maybe a closure or, how sometimes those come up.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, specifically, it was pins and monuments at L12A and L12B.
The boundary didn't
It
close.
didn't close,
Yeah.
so.
Yes,
they
we're
had to
doing
fix
it
it.
on time. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Still got 1 plat.
I don't care.
Still have
Alright.
2 plats. Don't you?
2 plats.
I like having you in the room.
Right.
Oh. Looks like you're into some serious work today.
We gotta go up and look at some trees that need to come out of a lot. Plus I need to break these boots in better because I don't like it when I write. So. Got a different bike after rally.
You did?
Just a little bit newer electric lines. I know rotate my old blue one. Yeah, she rides nice. I'm not used to having blinkers on both sides. The last motorcycle I had that was having blink, well, my grandpa's had switched Kawasaki.
Happens in our office.
And then the scooters both had it on one side, so now I'm doing that. It's like, see it buttons.
She thought you might need that.
Why?
That's from Amy.
Ah,
She cut so much stuff out of the paper, and then I'm like, why did you save this? Well, I thought he might need it. Okay.
well, that's for
Give it to her.
Gail will have it in short order.
Yes. She makes me laugh sometimes. She's a mom. all the way.
break, please?
Yes, I
Thank
can
you.
mute it. There we go. All right, so I'm actually gonna talk about both of these plats at the same time because they go together, so 71 and 72. The first one is amended preliminary plat for Auburn Acres. What they are trying to do, and we've been trying to do this with all of the new amended preliminaries when they come in. We ask the surveyors to redline them for us so we can see exactly where the changes are. So the changes are up in this upper corner, block 6. Originally, block 6 was just one tract. If you remember, this block 6 was the piece that they had requested to go to a commercial zoning, and we had said no as part of their amended development plan. So now they're coming back and trying to break it down into 3 lots. Bad thing is it's small, but it's no smaller than what they have across the road. We have allowed that size. They have the water and sewer. I mean, everything's there. They're just trying to fit them in there. Overall density, they're still fine. You know, they've got enough density. So there's not really a lot we can say there. That's really it. Fire plan's all in, you know, water sewer's there. The road is the road. Gonna be individual driveways. Black Horse Road, we did decide, you know, they manage that road. It's part of their subdivision up to this point, and then right past this point, it goes into a different subdivision. I know I did hear from Michelle Jacobs, and I see that she's here today with some concerns on it, and we did have a discussion. I kind of explained to her where they're at with it, but that's really it. Preliminary and final plat.
I see you're here. It's not a public hearing though, so I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah,
So you know,
unless the board would like to hear from them.
I would like to hear from her, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please.
My name is
Yeah, state your name. and address.
Michelle Jacobs, and I live at 11288 Black Forest Road, which is
right here.
right where the words basically utility easement is where my house sits. So I'm not part of any subdivision or Black Forest ranchettes or anything. I would ask that you would have them go back and not do this amended, just because there's going to be 3 more homes there next to me. I already have a bunch behind me. And in the future, this lot over here, I see on their map online, they want to put a cul-de-sac in and probably 3 or 4 more lots. So right now, we have to police a lot of stuff. Like the people behind us, they show up, they just have a bonfire in their backyard. We'll go ask them to put it out. Powder House asks that nobody have open fires, but they obviously didn't care because 3 days later, the people had another bonfire. And as far as making all these so little, if you go further down, they have a whole nother section of a whole bunch more acres that they could probably do that in. Because eventually they have to make it to, their sewer has to make it to South Ridge Estates, because state law requires that any CID be part of the district's sewer line. So to me, it makes sense if they bring it down, since I do live right in the middle of it and I have 7.77 acres and it's all surrounded by Powerhouse. And the CID isn't so bad if there were people living there, but it's became a vacation resort. We all know it. It's became a vacation resort. So it never intended that way, I don't think, in the beginning, but it's became that way.
All right, well, thank you. I'm gonna limit it to that because the other party is not here to voice their opinion as well, so it's up to the board and what they want to do now. Or does anyone have any further questions for
Well,
Amber?
it's all part of the design for the CID. They're not really changing much of anything other than what we've already approved in concepts, so.
Yes, sir.
Amber, this counts towards their density too, right?
Correct. Yep. And we are keeping track of the density. You know, every time the lots, we have them broken out into blocks and how many lots they have so that we don't lose track of, where they have to stop. So if they end up using all their density here as they continue down the road, they may not get stuff down below. I mean, that's kind of how it's gonna be.
I'll move to approve the preliminary as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary amended. The amended preliminary, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So the next plat is the final plat for 2 of those lots, which is 1 and 2. So it's 2 of the ones that you just did and amended on.
Motion to approve the final on lots 1 and 2.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
They're bonded for their water system. They've already got sewer in most of that area. So I mean, all that is already covered either by bonding or by infrastructure being in place,
Yep.
one or the other.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I don't have anything on the 945 item. Not a thing.
I think this is the one, if you remember,
Oh, recent.
yeah, last time he
So I've been from a month ago.
Yeah, he did not show up, and I don't even know if anybody's here today. So my recommendation would be,
It doesn't.
It is early.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably wait.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do
because this
that
is the,
again.
if you remember, I called him during the meeting, and he said, "Oh, I forgot all about it, and I'm not going to be there." And then I told him when it was, and I never got anything from him. And he knew, so there is nothing to give.
We have the 10:15 and the 10:30 items, if we can slide those in.
He wants to see if he can. Yes. he can find it. Who was gonna, there he has a request for opioids on it.
Judge Foro,
France and somebody else.
Judge Foro. and then her, is it Richard? I think it's Richard. Her,
Isn't that pretty much what that money's for? There's only a couple of things it can be used for, and that's one.
Almost like we shouldn't, planning and zoning does on that public hearing. Leave them wide open
I
and
don't
take them
think-
in order.
I don't know if we can based on state law. I'd have to ask Bruce. For some reason, I'm thinking we have to, because when I do a public notice, I have to assign a time. I think.
We should just do them early though, at the start of the meeting.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be smooth.
so it's done.
Yeah, I don't know, we'd have to, unless I can I guess we could maybe have a scheduled time and that's when we do all of them. Maybe you could do it that way.
Kind of what we did with the.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we're just kind of in a recess here temporarily while Bruce sees if he can get some other people to come up and we'll do some of these other items.
I don't
We have
think
to wait
you
till,
have something else for me?
The road commission.
Oh, okay. You want to sign class?
sure.
Does the mic stay open at this moment, or?
Usually we have it off.
Mike is on.
Order.
We're all full. Although,
Take a,
this is camera,
to our,
this mic is full.
10:30, great days.
Do you want to
Update.
now and don't forget to do that? So, thanks for taking a few minutes this morning to discuss the website. If you may recall, we embarked on a new website project to do a refacing of our website this year. And that started right around the February, March timeframe. And this is a budgeted item, so I think we talked about it early in the year before we kicked it off. Back in February, we had gone and kind of solicited some input from department heads just to get their feelings on, how things look now, things we liked, things we can improve. And then took that input, formed a team of individuals to represent the county's best interests, and those are the constituents as well. Those individuals were Bruce Alka, Amber Vogt, Jamie Pasika Olson from the Sheriff's Office, Stephen Klein, my Deputy Director, and myself. And then we've been, meeting periodically throughout the year at various stages. We had an initial kickoff meeting with Civic Plus, and who's our current provider, and we're just, continuing to work with them, but just, trying to take our existing site and reface it as best we can to hopefully, gain the best desired results of this project. The main focus of our efforts were, number one, to improve ease of use, and then essentially make things easier to find for everybody. So if they're on our website, they can find what they're looking for more easily and quickly, and then to improve the aesthetic of the site as much as we could. So with that, what I'd like to do is kind of show you what the site will look like. Won't go into a deep dive into it, but hopefully you will like what you see. I've sent Bruce, just step out here.
When do you anticipate this coming all online?
Barring any unforeseen events, the go live date is October 22nd. And for all intents and purposes, it's fairly ready to go, with some tweaking that will happen right at the time we go live, because we have to wait to implement those things.
Okay.
But what I'd like to show you is the kind of the look and feel of the site. So what I'm going to do is try to maximize this. And first thing I'll do is I'll go to our current homepage. So when you currently go to our website, this is the homepage of our current website. Some of the things that came out of our feedback from department heads is that when you're at our homepage, it's a little bit vague where someone needs to go. There appears to be nothing else on this page. There actually is when you scroll down. Right. So our imagery was too large. And so we wanted to reduce the size of our imagery. The other things that came out of it was that we had a lot of menu options on the top of the screen, and it's a little unsure where a person might want to go. Do they want to go to government? Do they want to go to department? So even though what I'm going to show you today still has the same menuing system, that will be drilled down to just a couple of menu options when we go live. We're still determining the wording for that at this time, but the intention is to make less top menu options available, hopefully easier to find for people. We also got feedback that these buttons down here were not very easy for people to locate. They almost disappeared on the page. And so we wanted to try to improve upon that. So with that in mind, what we came up with is this layout for our homepage. And so right off the bat, you can see that we've
we've significantly reduced our imagery size on our homepage. And those button menus that we had towards the bottom of the page, now we've turned them into these image slider buttons in the middle of the page here, so that the most common options are available too. And these are just placeholders. Most of these will carry over. They're placeholders. We can change these at will. And that's one of the issues we had with the current site, is that it took an actual project with the vendor to change the buttons on the page. And so even if we wanted to add one, take one away, it was an actual project. This we can just change on the fly. We can make these images anything we want to, make the text there and where they lead to anything we want to. So like I said, we reduced the image size, we reduced the amount of information on this page to the things that individuals are most likely to want to go to. And we can add, if you notice that this is a slider, so we can move these images or move these menu options to as many scroll pages as we want to. Okay. And as we get feedback, we can add or remove some of these menu options as we would like to do. So this is what the main page looks like. And we did revise our social media buttons on the top of the page. So that's something that is a little bit more conspicuous than they were before. But one thing I cannot show you today is, like, for example, our agendas and minutes page, because it is what they call a module page. And so that will only be able to be available once we make the transition, but I can show you other interior pages, for example, like this forms page. So I'm going to go back over and grab the link from that over here, so you can see what an interior page looks like. One thing I will do is show you what the current forms page looks like, and then what the new one looks like. So if I go to forms right here, this is what the current forms page looks like. And again, like we mentioned before, the information on the page is quite a bit farther down the page than it should be, so you can't really see much of the information there. I have to log in here. Bruce, you know you're logged in by chance? No, I just use my own. Apparently I left my phone downstairs. When we're doing this redesign, we have to get signed in first, just doing the redesign. Sign in with Google, right? You have it up there. I'm not sure if you would have remember me or not. So, how we typically do it. It's a little bit different than normal. If you just do continue, do you have it saved? Usually use my regular. There you go. It's right there.
It's right in there.
We'll give this a try again.
We're gonna move the sign onto the website up too, right? So it's kind of down on the page now when we first get to it.
I'm sorry, Bruce?
The sign onto the website is gonna be moved up as well, up to the top of the page, because right now when you sign on, it's sort of at the bottom of the page, you have to scroll down.
What he's talking about is how when we go to the sign in, that it's requiring us to scroll down to get to the sign in, and that would be correct, Bruce. Let me find.
Especially if you're not familiar with the site.
I may have to go get my own phone so I can sign in, because that's where my password manager is at.
Let me go grab it.
Would you mind, Bruce? Thank you. Should be sitting on my desk. I will go back to the beginning here. And I guess first for the things that I've shown you so far, the homepage, did you have any initial thoughts on what you've seen so far, that page? And how we have the initial layout with the buttons like we have them, simplified page footer. Do you have any initial thoughts when you first see the site, and just the overall impression when you first come to the site?
Just got to learn another new trick. That's all.
Yeah, I understand that. And what we are trying to do also is incorporate some of the things we've got already, but not just reinvent the wheel. So it makes it really difficult for people who are coming to the site, who've been there before. Well, now what do I do? Well, we want to have some of those same menu options just more visible on the page. The search options will work the same as they always have. And we will have, if you notice down here, this is another feature that will be implemented, and that is a chat bot, so that you can have it find the information you're looking for quite easily and direct you there. But that'll be new to the site because you don't have that now. We just have a standard search option.
Any real change with GIS?
The GIS is thank you, sir, really appreciate that. Is a separate site. So if you go to GIS, it will just take you to our GIS mapping site as it currently is right now, which is Beacon. Let's go ahead and log Bruce out here. I'll sign myself in. Appreciate your patience.
Greg, I never asked this question. Do we have an idea of how much traffic the website gets, and is it quite a bit?
We can get that information. I don't have that available right now, but we do have statistics that are available. Yes. Okay.
I'll start. No, not till 10. Well, that one, that's right, that's adjustment.
Okay. No, it doesn't like me. There we go. Okay. So I looked at the forms page before. This is the revised forms page here. So right off the bat, you can see that the information that's on the actual primary part of the page is more available. We changed the look and feel of that page quite a bit as well. And hopefully it'll be easier for people to see, find, layout. This is just one example of one of those interior pages. I'll pull up another page that we have for like paying taxes. And whenever you need to stop, I will bow out. So this is our phone and online taxes. If I go to the site now and go to that same page for the treasurer's office, that's what that page looks like now. So you can see the existing page and what the revised page looks like. Okay. So we hope that with these changes, that basically it'll be easier for people to find what they're looking for. They'll like the look and feel better, and it'll actually help streamline the offices and the calls they get. make it easier for people to find stuff online, it should reduce the calls for Rob, I hope so.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, and appreciate all the effort from the team too. They've really, provided good input for everybody and representing people well, so.
That's all right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Amber.
Yep.
So, do we need to recess as county commission?
We should probably follow, we should follow procedure and then I'll give an update. Bruce, is that what you want to do?
Is it gonna be necessary to get into?
I guess that's up to these guys. I guess I'll give you an update and you can decide what you want to do. I have requested information from this gentleman 3 times now. Last time he said, oh, I forgot about it. Can we reschedule it to this meeting? I told him the time, location, everything. I have requested a rendering of what he wants to do, as well as his, we'll say, summary of appeal, which he has never submitted to me. So that's why you didn't have anything in your packets. The background of it is he got a building permit for a structure. Then after the fact decided, well, I want to not meet the guest house ordinance. So it's a garage with living quarters in it. And it's like 1,000+ square feet over the allowed amount. I want to say it was like 2,600 square feet or something. And we only allow 1,000 square feet for a guest house. He didn't like my answer. I denied his building permit, told him, the garage isn't the issue. You can build a garage. It's just that additional space is the issue. And he basically didn't like that answer. I did write him in writing, like our appeal process says, which is, I'm denying your building permit based on this. It doesn't meet the ordinance. He said he was going to appeal. Now that's where we're at. So the appeal process would be Board of Adjustment would hear it, whatever, but I don't have anything to provide to you because he never
Mr. Chairman.
finalized it.
Yes.
Amber, did he ever perfect his appeal? Do we usually require a fee or a form to be submitted?
Nope.
So he never submitted those things?
He refused. He said, I'm not going to do that. I just want to come talk to the board about it. And
Well,
he's
obviously
never
here.
done anything. So I can't really help him at all because he's not even submitting the information that I asked for.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
So
if
I don't even know if you make a decision.
If he's not followed the application process for the for reconsideration, then I think it's a moot point. You don't need to act on it. It's incumbent on him to follow the rules and to pay the fee. And if he's done that, or if he hasn't done that, then it's not right for your consideration. If and when he does do that, then you can convene his Board of Adjustment to take action.
Okay, that's fair. And I've already kind of told him that, but I was giving him the opportunity to come and talk for himself. And he hasn't.
Because there's a fee associated with it as well, if I may, right?
Do we need to do anything officially here to dispose of this item on our agenda?
I would say that
It's not there.
it's not right. It's not before you because he has not made the application, not paid the fee, not followed the administrative steps necessary to get it before you.
Doesn't exist.
Works for me. I will relay that information again.
So here we are again waiting. So are we in recess till 10? Is that what I'm seeing?
Mr. Chairman, if you may, I think Judge Floral was planning on getting online to discuss the Fourth Circuit treatment court request for funding. I can probably cover that if you wanted to move that along, or certainly wait for Judge Floral to be on as well.
That's up to you, Chris.
I can give it a shot.
Okay.
I think.
Did you have anything to pull up, Bruce? Do you want me to?
No, that's fair. No.
That's the 1015 request for opioid settlement fund.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. So before you is a request from the Fourth Judicial Circuit Treatment Courts. In particular, it's drug court. They're making a request for a total of $31,000. Of course, this money will come from the opioid remediation funds. And I think Brenda would help me to remember, we have currently over $100,000 in that fund, and money is continually coming in and is set to come in for the next, 18 to 20 years, I think.
There's, at current, there's 156,382.40.
And as I recall, it was about 2 years ago, probably, you did make an allocation to Compass Point. I think that was for $25,000, if my memory serves correctly.
226.72, yep.
And so the present request again is for $31,000, and I think the request lays out what they're asking for. I think in this case, it's for training. I think Commissioner Flanagan brought this up during their preliminary rounds of budgeting. And I think we were not quite as clear about what the money could be used for. And I think perhaps that there was a conference of judges and treatment providers, and they kind of looked at some of the parameters. And I think other counties, other courts have had similar requests, if that makes sense. And so I think it is an appropriate use for the money. And so it's up to you to decide if you want to make that allocation.
The money is pretty specific on what it can only be used for, is if I remember correctly. So, and this is one of the allowed
Yes.
uses, so.
And I should add that I don't think a representative of UJS is able to sign the agreement, but what we did do is had Ms. Kim Kinney, she's an attorney from from Spearfish. She's also the defense attorney on the DUI court as well. She has signed the proposed agreement and accepted the conditions on behalf of the drug court, if that makes sense. So we're looking for authorization, if you approve, to have the chairman sign.
Sign, is that, so then do we just submit that to the state, or do we just take that out of what we already have?
We handle that internally, I think, and then Brenda gets audited from time to time, so she has to provide information to them, but no, they kind of leave us to our own devices. And I don't even think I actually need the chairman to sign. I guess I could just have you if you would approve it. And it's the same fund or use agreement that we've used in the past. And I don't think we've had any problems so far, have we, Brenda, with getting the funds?
Nope, the Compass Point has an accountant who provided me with what the money was spent for, and then I submitted that to the state.
Well, I think this is probably exactly what this money's intended for, so I'll make the motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Also, was just gonna note, if I may, Chairman, the employees did a Narcan training, and I also took the employees who all completed the training and their hourly wage and used that for that training.
All right, I guess we're in recess until 10 a.m. for our first public hearing here.
Back online, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. Please stand, state your name and address for the record. We can just listen to what you have to say. We can't do any formal action because it's not something that's on the
This is my
agenda.
4th public comment I've done in like 2 weeks, so. Good evening, I'm Wyatt Lesmeister, 4-H member in the Butte Lawrence County, specifically in the Butte County, but we are combined.
What's your address, sir?
19345 Upper Redwater Road, Beaufort, South Dakota.
Thank you.
I'm Wyatt Lesmeister, legislator at large of the South Dakota 4-H legislature, and I'm going to speak to you about a resolution that passed in the 4th legislature of the state of South Dakota 4-H legislature. A resolution urging the South Dakota State Legislature, governors, counties, and cities to work with the state and local 4-H offices on proclaiming National 4-H Week in 2024. Whereas 4-H, as a part of the South Dakota Extension System of the South Dakota State University, is a program where youth have the opportunity to learn and experience hands-on from experts, educators, and volunteers. Whereas for the past 120 years, 4-H has served America's young people to make the best better and is now the nation's largest youth development organization. Whereas through those generations, members have developed various unique skills with their heads, hearts, hands, and health that they now use throughout our communities, country, and world. Whereas National 4-H Week reminds people about 4-H by spotlighting different members, volunteers, and opportunities within the program. Now therefore, be it resolved by the 4th 4-H legislature of the state of South Dakota that it calls upon the South Dakota State Legislature, South Dakota Governor, County Commissioners, and City Mayors to proclaim National 4-H Week in 2024 and recognize 4-H within their jurisdiction. Thank you for your time. Crow Creek Valley Rangers, True Grit, Horseshoe, and Range Riders 4-H clubs, thank you for your consideration and support. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Butte Lawrence County 4-H office.
All right, thank you.
And I have a bunch of copies if you guys would like them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Is there anyone else that would like to, any public comments at this time?
I'm looking online too, Mr. Chairman. I don't see anybody. What did I see?
Public comment period. We're within a couple of minutes of resuming our public hearing on the agenda.
I'll mute the meeting for now then.
Yes.
Okay.
Lesmeister.
Public hearing is resolution 2024-32. Petition vacating a portion of the section line. You gonna fill us in on this one, Bruce?
I'll start. So indeed, this is the time and the place set for a public hearing, and this request is submitted, I think, on behalf of the Cabinet Trust of Robert D. Goodell. Is anybody here in the audience on behalf? Okay. I'll defer to those folks in a second. Up on the screen, I think, is a description of the request for the vacation. The vicinity of this is, as I recall, on 14A near Spearfish Canyon Lodge, basically adjacent to that. And so you can see that they're trying to vacate just a couple portions of the section line, I think, to the extent that their property sort of, I'll use the word, encroaches into the section line. That's not an exact precise language. With that, I would defer to the applicants for any information they want to provide.
We are trying to put an addition on.
Can I get you to please stand and
Absolutely.
state your name and
I'm
address
sorry.
for the record? Thank
My
you.
name is Renee Brown Goodell. I'm representing the Cabin Trust of Robert D. Goodell. I am one of the trustees. My address is in Minneapolis. Do you want the entire
Yeah,
address?
that's fine.
Minneapolis is fine or the address is fine?
Brenda, what would you like?
It's trustee is fine. of
Okay.
the-
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We are attempting to put an addition on the cabin. And it appears, as we discovered, we have a section line that runs through a small tail of the lot, and that's on the creek side. So we would like to vacate those pieces of the section line in order to meet our setback requirements for the addition. We don't have room on the lot for the additional 33 feet of setback that would otherwise be required in order to put the addition on the cabin. It's a small addition, it's 170 square feet. It's gonna be a new kitchen. I don't know what else you wanna know. We talked with the lodge has absolutely no objections to it. And they're our only adjoining neighbor.
Okay. That is a public hearing. We're gonna open it up for the public hearing part of this. And if you're here in support or object to it, I would ask you to stand, state your name and address for the record again. Is there anyone in the body of the audience or online that would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer it to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Should I start with the next one, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is time to place up for another public hearing concerning resolution 2024-34. This too is a petition to vacate a portion of a section line. As you see on the agenda, it affects the landowners of Leroy Eckert and Trinity Eckert. The vicinity location of this one is what I would say is Nevada Gulch Road, and I think the lot is also intersected by Lost Irishman Road. I have nothing else to inform the board about. I'm not sure if there are any folks are here to talk about it. I'll put the picture up here and defer to them.
Okay, would you folks like to add anything further?
Sure. So I'm Trinity Eckhart. We
Address, please.
11236 Nevada Gulch Road.
Thank you.
So the purpose of vacating the section line is we would like to build a building on top of the hill. We only have a couple flat spots to build it. And it's for our sawmill. We're going to be putting our sawmill stuff inside of it. And yeah, it goes right through one of our flat spots where we would like to build it. So that's all.
You recently got a CP too, didn't you?
Yep.
You remember that? This all kind of goes hand in hand.
Yep. Okay, is there anyone in the, it is a public hearing, is there anyone in the body of the audience or online that would like to speak for or against this? At this time, if you would, those online, please tell us who you are and your address for the record. Or audience, please stand. Is there anyone? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and offer to the board. All right, Commissioner Sleep.
Does anybody have to go through that property to get to theirs? Or is it just on the Forest Service?
Well,
Where it goes from yours?
On the one whole side of ours is BLM on the right side.
Yeah, land.
On the back side, kind of up north there, that's all the mine, DTRC or whatever they are. And then on the left-hand side, they would all go out Lost Irishman Road, I guess. That direction.
Motion to approve resolutions 2024-34.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next one. Mr. Chairman, time and place set for the last public hearing, 2024-35, resolution 2024-35. This is also a request to vacate a portion of the section line. As you can see on the proposed resolution, it affects the landowners Nathan Strasburg and Kevin and Joyce DeWald. There was going to be a companion resolution to vacate a part of Dolphin Road. That's the one we referred to earlier, Resolution 36. That will be continued until October 8th. I don't know if anybody's here to discuss this. This is in the vicinity of what I would say Yellow Creek. And I'm going to put the pictures that Crystal has put together. You can see there's an adjacent vacation that's next to this. Staff has looked at it and we can't divine that anybody's access is going to be impacted by this. But of course, we've been wrong before.
Okay. We'll open it up to the public hearing. Is there anyone in the body of the audience or online that would like to speak for or against this? Please state your name and address for the record. Anyone whatsoever? Not seeing anything, we'll close the public hearing on this one and offer it to the board.
I think there's a better picture. I'm just trying to scroll through and get to the best view. And I should add to that, I asked Amber to please review all of these, and I think she did, and I don't know that she had any concerns.
Is this the only one that we're wondering about, those two lots that the guy signed off on, right?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
So it looks like those adjacent lots are also owned by the same folks.
Okay.
They're the ones that vacated theirs.
Discretion of the board.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
So does that go off into the
We gotta get a
BLM?
second here before we have further discussion.
I'll second that.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second.
Does it go
Discussion.
off into the BLM there too?
I'm sorry.
Does it go into BLM land?
Or Forest Service or something?
I don't have that record, Richard. I'm not certain about that.
The private property goes on there too.
There were roads accessing
There's,
properties.
there's access all the way around this property.
Yellow,
both
Yellow
sides.
Brick comes all the way around it.
And that Dolphin Road that they were gonna vacate goes right beside the other side. And that one hasn't been developed yet, so when we get that one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see it.
One
It's
more.
not off anybody's access.
Move approval.
We already have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks. There's Bob, the chairman, the signature page.
Do something with that, Amber.
We're done.
Oh.
I think we're done. Except for Commissioner's comment.
Pardon?
Oh.
Just need to have you sign that.
I did.
Oh, okay. Sign it twice.
Let me get the folks back online here. There we go.
I'll just open it up one more time for any more public comment before we totally close out. Is there anyone in the body of the audience or online that has any public comments at this time? Okay, we'll close it again. And does the last item would be items from the commissioners. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Mr. Flanagan.
We seem to be getting more insistent emails from Miss Bestien. I think she's mistaken in our approach to what occurred there. And I think that may need to be explained to her, that we felt that it's not that it's illegal to hand count ballots, it's that the petition that was submitted to us, we felt was improperly submitted and it's possibly not legal.
Mr. Chairman, Brian, I don't know if you saw it. I think it was over the weekend. You did get another email from her, and her position seems to have changed 180 degrees. And she expressed her satisfaction with staff and with the county commission.
Okay.
And she announced.
I just saw you replied and I saw something change, but I didn't know what it was.
She did follow up, and so in light of that, she did not plan to appear today.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to share for Commissioner Lee?
I was just gonna ask Brenda, were you able to put the section lines of my property on for later discussion? Did somebody come in and talk?
Yep, I gave her the paperwork. Yeah. Yep. Rosalie.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons?
Who's down there? So Rich and I went to the Association of County Commissions convention last week. Got some decent information. I will say that
employees have been doing a very good job of keeping us informed. I don't think we've really learned anything new earth shattering, but certainly did reaffirm what they've been telling us. I appreciate that. And once again, we found out how respected Brenda Magruder is as an auditor of the state, that an awful lot of the people in the state use her as a resource. We're lucky to have that.
And what new
On our
position
team.
did you acquire?
Oh, second vice president of the County Commissioners Association.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, I also noted in the newspaper that Commissioner Tisdale and his wife Gail were also recently recognized.
Yes, they were.
Yes, that was awesome.
You can share your newspaper with me.
Yes.
Oh, one other question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Are we working on a cell phone policy? Putting that together that we'd asked for?
I think what we were gonna do is, we did talk about it, was that in January of this year, that we were gonna discuss it then. Isn't that what we talked about?
Yeah, when it,
It comes up in January. I have something in here somewhere. But we did talk about it, and that was what we concluded, is, I think is there 2 or 3 different categories for cell phones, right? And so that each of them would fit into one of those 3 categories. And I think that there was discussion amongst the department heads that they may need to reassign or realign some of their cell phone allocations, maybe perhaps down, makes sense, to more accurately represent the amount of usage. But I think we planned on bringing that up again in January. We didn't forget about it.
Okay, thank you.
If we need to do something different, please let me know.
Anything else? Seeing nothing, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
thanks.
Regular report.
That's what I heard.
Is it my turn?